So, the book we're diving into today is by a guy named George Hatcher, and he kicks things off with a pretty bold statement. He says he's no expert on love. But trust me, once you hear his story, you're going to realize he might know more about what actually lasts than pretty much anyone else. And when I say he has a story, I mean it. Hatcher is, well, he's brutally honest about his past. We're talking bad checks, court dates. He even served 42 months in prison for false bank entries. I mean, this is not the guy you typically turn to for relationship advice, right? But that's exactly what makes his take on it so powerful. But here's the twist, and it's a big one. This same guy has been married to the same woman, Molly, for 60 years. Yeah, you heard that right. 60 years. A marriage that went through all of that. The business failures, the prison time, everything. So you got to ask yourself, how on earth is that even possible? Okay, so to really get how he made it work for 60 years, we actually have to start with his failures. See, before Molly, Hatcher had already been married 3 times, and those marriages, they completely fell apart. I mean, one of them only lasted 24 days. So this isn't some fairy tale. This is a story about a lesson learned the hard way, forged in fire. And man, is it a stark contrast to how we talk about love today. So when Hatcher looks at the modern dating world from where he's standing, after 60 years of marriage, he says it's like looking at a different planet. He actually calls it a grand and glittering hoax, something that looks amazing on the outside but is designed to leave us all feeling more alone. He has a name for it: fake love. So what does he mean by fake love? Well, according to Hatcher, it's any connection that's all surface level. It looks great, but there's nothing holding it together underneath. It's super fragile. The second real life shows up, a big argument, losing a job, any kind of real test, it just shatters. It's this whole culture where people end up feeling and acting like they're disposable. And he paints this really clear picture of the difference between then and now. Back in his day, you got to know someone face to face through their actual stories. Now, it's all about perfectly curated profiles and what he calls the Tinder trap, this illusion of endless options. Instead of building real memories, the good and the bad, there's all this pressure to have a perfect highlight reel. And forget being direct, now we have ghosting, where someone can just vanish. So, how do you get out of this trap? Hatcher says the very first step is just being honest with yourself, and it all starts with asking one simple question. What am I really looking for here? Is it a temporary distraction, or is it a deep, meaningful connection? He's clear, there's no wrong answer here, but you absolutely have to know what game you're playing. And this right here, this is the absolute core of his entire philosophy. He says the single most important lesson he ever learned was figuring out the difference between lust and love. And he explains it with this just brilliant metaphor, the difference between fireworks and stars. Think about it. Lust, that's the firework. It's this huge, spectacular, noisy explosion. It's a total thrill. But then, poof, it vanishes into smoke and you're left in the dark. But love? He says love is like a star. It's this quiet, steady, distant light. It's not as loud, but it's the light that can actually help you navigate your way home when you're lost. And here's the real kicker. Lust runs from trouble, love runs toward it. And he learned this from his own failed marriages, so he gives us some red flags to look out for in a lust-based connection. First, the focus is only on the present thrill, that firework moment. Second, you avoid conflict and hard conversations at all costs, because you know the whole thing is just too fragile to survive them. And maybe the biggest one of all, the affection is totally conditional. It's there when things are great, but it vanishes the second things get tough. This is where it all comes back to his own life. He says his connection with Molly, it wasn't just a firework, it was more like the pilot light. So when his life truly did explode, when the businesses failed, when he went to prison, that small, steady flame of her love, it never went out. And that, he says, is how you know. That's the real deal. Okay, so if real love isn't about being perfect, then what is it about? Hatcher's answer is that it's about embracing imperfection. It's about understanding that the breaks and the repairs that come after are actually what make a relationship not just strong, but beautiful. And he has another amazing metaphor for this. It's a Japanese art form called kintsugi. It's where when a piece of pottery breaks, they don't just glue it back together and hide the cracks. No, they repair it with liquid gold. The whole philosophy is that the object is now more beautiful for having been broken. its history, its scars, are now part of its beauty. And this all leads to the dedication in his book to his wife, Molly. It's just one line, and it ties everything together perfectly. He writes, "Thank you for being the gold in all my broken places." Wow. I mean, their marriage isn't beautiful despite the cracks. It's beautiful because her love was the gold that filled them. So, what's the big takeaway here? What do we learn from this imperfect man's absolutely incredible story? Well, Hatcher boils down everything he's learned over 60 years into just a couple of core ideas for building a love that, actually lasts. It really comes down to two simple but fundamental choices. First, you have to choose honesty over performance. Stop trying to be the perfect version of yourself and just be the real you. And second, you have to choose commitment over convenience. It's easy to walk away when things get tough. It's a real choice to stay. At the end of the day, he's saying real love isn't some magical feeling you just stumble upon. It's a choice you have to make again and again. And finally, Hatcher says, it all boils down to one simple, profound test. Just one question. Forget all the noise. Forget finding the perfect person. Forget the fairy tales. The only question that really, truly matters is this. Who is the person that will show up to help you clean up the mess after the house burns down? Because that person, that's the one you build a life with.